my name is Lainey Hyde, and this is Bob. This is Amanda. This is Belly. This is Conrad, and this is Sophie. And so to start my speech off, I would like to ask y'all all a question, and is, how do y'all think online learning could benefit any student with a flexible time schedule and a variety of online sources? But next, I want y'all to think about the lack of collaboration and connection the student may face and an informal environment an online setting may have. So, do the pros cover for the cons of online learning? Today, the purpose of my speech is to inform you of the pros and cons of online learning. And I am credible to speak on this topic today because I have done a lot of research and I've also spoken to several students that are enrolled in an online program to get more background information and more knowledge on this. And for the topics I'm going to talk about today, the first one is going to be how online learning has a flexible time, control, and schedule for the student, how it provides a variety of online sources for the student, how it has an informal environment like a routine, and a lack of connection and collaboration. So now that I've outlined my main points, I'll begin with my first pro, and that is control over your time. And this creates a custom learning path for the student. It also has a very good schooling experience, like they get to create their own style of study, and it is very self-paced, so if you learn a lot slower or faster, you can create your study habits around that. So now it allows and creates a flexible schedule to learning abilities. And for my first source, it is in September 9th, 2024, the Digital Learning Institute with What is Self-Paced Learning said that learners progress through the material at their own speed. And I picked this one because it is specialists in this field and are giving reasonable and true facts. For my second example, it is balanced work, life, and school. Michelle is a student at the Business Administration online and was just promoted in her job. And so she decided that she was going to do online school, and she said she's still able to have free time and study whenever she would like. And May 31st, 2023, Michelle was interviewed by KeyPath Education, and she said that juggling a busy job and study can be done. And I chose this because it gives you another perspective on this, and it is a real person in this situation. So, you see how crucial it is to have flexibility and control over time? So for my next point, it is the variety of online sources the student will have. There's plenty of learning tools like websites, articles, news articles, and relevant material. Next is the textbooks online. It is proven that 50% of textbooks are less expensive than ones in school. And also 65% of students missed out on textbooks this year because they couldn't afford it. And some missed meals just so they could afford it. So in October 12th, 2024, Lena Henson with the Education Data explains that average cost of the college textbooks, and I picked this resource because it gave stats behind the reasons. So far I've covered the online learning benefits, and now I'll address some negatives. For my first con, there's an informal environment. This is because it's self-disciplined, and if you're not self-disciplined, you have a lack in studying and you won't be as motivated as you would be in school with a routine. There's also no routine, and this means that the student just does their homework whenever, and like most of the time they're on their phone, or they just spend about 10 minutes a day just studying. Next, there's lots of distractions. There's TVs, and you're like, oh, I'm at home now, I can do whatever I want, so that's not very good for distractions. The switch can also be very difficult. For my next, there's no daily structure. At the brick and mortar school, there's a day laid out for each student, but at home, there's no routine laid out and no structure, which could cause very difficult in this. So in June 6, 2023, Icon School of Online Learning Distraction says that at home there is rarely that kind of structure. And that shows that there's no routine, and if there's no routine, there's no field to develop professional development for the future. So it's clear how online learning can negatively impact professional development. For my final point, it's the lack of connection and collaboration the student will have. For the first one, it is the lack of social interaction. See, in the classroom, it's full of students and teachers, you're always talking, but in an online setting, you may just have your dog or your mom or dad, and that's not as good because in the real world, in real jobs, you'll be in the office with like 200 people. And this could also cause health issues, boredom, and a fear of being alone. So, Mama Asma in March 5th, 2022 said that of a lack of social interactions, there's a lack of interaction among students in an online classroom. And I chose this because she has studied this and she has given very good background information on this. It is also more isolated. Aisha Ahmed said that 84% agreed that online learning is more isolated and 2% disagreed. So the rest weren't sure, but this shows that more agreed that an online classroom is more isolated. And so you see, both sides have very strong arguments and they can both really impact the student's future. So to summarize my pros and cons, for my first one, the pro was managed time and schedule. The second pro was many online resources. My first con was there's an informal environment, and my second con, there was a lack of connection and collaboration. So the purpose of my speech was to share how pros and cons of online learning, and now I would like y'all to rethink the question I asked at the beginning. Do the pros cover for the cons of online learning? Is it worth risking the future of being professional? So has this changed y'all's mind? Thank you, that's all.